All 12 teams in the NWSL in action this weekend. You can catch the games across Saturday and Sunday, all of them on Paramount Plus. Welcome into Week 8 NWSL preview alongside Lianne, Sanderson, and Lindsey. I'm your host, Lisa Roman. Week 8, ladies, it is crunch time in the league. Time for these teams where they have to start picking up points because before you know it, it's going to be World Cup summer. A lot of internationals gone. Now is when these teams need points, but there are games all across this weekend. I need to know who you're watching. Lianne, I'm going to go to you first. Across these games, which one do you have your eye on?
So I have my eye on OL Reign versus Gotham. And my reasoning for that, obviously the matchup earlier in the season was 2-0, but it was a bit earlier. And I think both these teams, OL Reign have conceded the least amount of goals in the league, tied 6 overall in the whole season, which is incredible. They've got a really consistent back line. They've got Emily Sonnet in there with Jess Fishlock. And I think the fact that, Lynn Williams, we know she's in great form. It'll be a matter of how are they going to stop her from scoring. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a really, really good matchup. The fact that it's in Seattle maybe plays a part in it. It's going to be on turf. So that maybe plays a part because some of these teams are not training, playing on turf most of the time. But we won't use any excuses. But I think it's going to be a really exciting game. And you know what I feel about Jess Fishlock, how much of a great player I think she is. Like, I'm such a big fan. I played against her a number of times for England and in the league. And I just think she's brilliant. But also at the same time, I think, Lynn is an incredible player as well. And I think they both got lots of talent. I think in the midfield for Gotham, Ali Long, McCall Zaboni, Sinead Farley, there's so much talent in that team. And even if one of them doesn't start, Nizwonga's been out injured. Maybe she'll be back. We'll have to wait and see. But whoever starts in those games, they're so good at possessing the ball that they've got such ball players within their lineup. So I'm looking forward to this one. I really am. And I'm calling that game and I'm super excited.
The plug to listen to Lianne.
Yes.
I agree. Lianne, this game, I agree. I think it's going to be top notch. OL Reign coming off a 1-0 loss to North Carolina. Laura Harvey has not lost consecutive matches in a single season. OL Reign hasn't done it since the summer of 2021. So OL Reign looking to bounce back after that loss. I love that you've got your eye on this one. You can catch it Sunday evening. All right, Lori, for you across these matches, you can't pick OL Reign Gotham. So who are you going with?
I know, Lee stealing the one that we all had our eye on. Usually I do that to you, Lee. I have Houston, San Diego, and Lisa, you mentioned picking up points is pivotal at this point in time in the season before everyone starts heading into the World Cup break in just about a little over a month's time or so, 2 months' time. So it is important. These two, I feel like they absolutely need points. This will be San Diego, third game in a row that they'll be on the road. Initially lost their game in Washington last weekend, bounced back against Kansas City, now find themselves in Houston. Houston, huge win last week against Portland, giving them their first loss of the season. And so while these two teams not similar, there are some similarities in terms of the formation. I think that the midfield will be a traditional battle of numerical evenness, so to speak. But I think it's going to be those wide areas who can take advantage of the width, in particular Didasco for Houston, getting up and down the field, potentially Chapman on the left-hand side for Houston, but then also conversely for Westfall, on that right-hand side for San Diego. So I think it's really going to be the flank play who can take advantage of that. And then the strikers up top. But we saw San Diego last week go a bit more defensive, change their tactical formation to 2 holding mids instead of 2 10s. I do believe that they're going to do that again, missing some pieces out to injury, some really important pieces. Korniak, one of them, still out, Turnbow. So I think that this game is going to be defensive minded first and foremost for San Diego. So it's going to put the onus on Houston at home to collect the points, come out, be aggressive, and it's going to start with their front 3 up top, who really have the potential to be deadly.
With San Diego and Houston, both of these teams coming off of big wins in week 7, right? Houston on the come from behind 2-1 win over Portland Thorns, and San Diego getting their first shutout and win in a handful of games. So Lori, I've got to ask, of those strikers for Houston, you just called them out. Who are you watching? Who needs to have a big game?
Yeah, usually I would say all three, and I do believe that. And we'll wait and see if Ordonez gets the start. We do believe that she'll be in the game day roster, game day squad, coming back from illness from last week. But my eyes are all on Ebony Salmon. She scored the game winner against Portland. She started the first goal to come from behind, the equalizer in that game as well. And I think that saying of where Ebony Salmon goes, this team goes is extremely true, because her versatility, she can drop into the midfield, help link play, but she can get in behind. And we've seen this San Diego team, they gave up 6 goals leading into that Kansas City game, 6 goals in the last 2 games. That's more than half they had given up the entire year. So I imagine that they're going to lock things down. That's why Ebony Salmon's extremely important. If she drops in, great. She'll link play, allows for more numbers to get forward. But if she can catch them in transitional moments, back to front quickly, I think that's where she can be most dangerous. And obviously you have Sanchez, and then we'll see about Ordonez, as I mentioned. So Ebony Salmon can be focal.
I want to pick up about Emily Salmon, not because she's from England, but I can't believe she's still only 21.
I know.
Like, it's incredible. And I've always been a big fan of hers when she was at Manchester United, even when she was at Bristol. I thought she offered something different. And I really hope she does get called up for the national team to go to the World Cup, because there's still question marks, not over necessarily who's going to play there, but Alessia Russo, Rachel Daly. But I do think Ebony Salmon would be a really good option coming off the bench. And unfortunately, she's been in and out of squads. When she does get selected, she doesn't really play that much. But I think for Louisville, she was fantastic. But now she's got it was her first goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of the campaign. And as a centre forward, I know all too well, once you get one, you start to go on a really good run and your confidence will come. So I just think a lot of emphasis is always on Ebony Salmon, which it rightfully so. I think the other players also need to contribute also and help her as well.
I'm hoping for Houston, Sam Lady, head coach at the Dash, that the floodgates will just open now for Salmon. And as Lori said, we're going to see those signs at PNC Stadium where Ebony Salmon goes, the Houston Dash goes. I like it, Lori. Come on, Houston fans. Get that on a T-shirt. All right, Lianne.
I want that T-shirt.
OL Reign, Gotham, Lianne. Who are you watching?
Well, I think I can't talk about these teams and not talk about these players. And I've already mentioned them already, but Lynn Williams speaks for me for herself. I think when I played with her for the Western New York Flash and now the North Carolina Courage, she was really, really good. I loved playing with her because she was so fast and I wasn't blessed with pace. So I was able to put the ball in front and she was able to run onto it. Every type of ball, she was a dream to play with, because any type of ball you play, she always gets on the end of it. And again, she does defensive work. She works so hard, similarly to Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith. All those players on the other side of the ball work really well. And then Jess Fishlock as well. I think her fitness levels, I think she could play way over, maybe she could do a Buffon and play till she's like 42.
Buffon. I love that.
I know she had that injury a few years ago, but she never seems to look tired. She never seems to run out of steam, out of gas. One of the goals she scored this year as well, when she just swept it in the back of the net, was incredible. And I just think I'm a big fan of hers. And I think the fact that she's been in the league, I know she's gone on a couple of loan spells, but that was usually in the off season. But I just think she's been an incredible player in the NWSL and just consistently good. I say it all the time. She's so annoying to play against, but a fantastic player when you have her on your team.
Plenty of great players to watch across the league. As we mentioned, week 8, teams have to pick up points. But we're also at a crucial point in the year. We're in the middle of May. We've got about 60 days until the World Cup kicks off, just a couple of weeks until those World Cup rosters are named. There's a lot of question marks still out there. And we know that U.S. international head coach Vlatko Andonovski makes his way to a lot of different NWSL games around the country. So I want to ask you two, put on the coaching hat for the U.S. internationals. Where do you think Vlatko Andonovski should be watching games this weekend? Lori, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going with the game that Lianne just picked, OL Reign versus Gotham. I mean, both of these teams just stacked with talent in general, but there are quite a few U.S. internationals vying for positions for OL Reign. You have Sofia Huerta, you have Alana Cook on the back line in particular. I mean, obviously you have Megan Rapinoe as well. Emily Sonnet, who's been playing as the number 6. But then for Gotham, you have Lynn Williams. Mitch Person sounds like is not going to be back. You have Christy Mewis. So it's an interesting battle because it is going to be a tough game, I believe, but also you get to see some of the top talent up against one another. So how do Cook and Huerta deal with the spaces that Lynn Williams gets into, or the runs that Mewis get into. So I think those are the things that Vlatko is going to be looking to. And this is a game that, it's going to be tough. All these games are tough. We know that. But with the fine margins in this league, this is when you're like, okay, who can show up? Who is putting their stamp on these games? Because that's what you're looking for, is those moments that you can rely on your players when things get tough, right? Who can we rely on to score goals, make the little extra, the pass that leads to a goal, or find the back of the net? And I think this has it all in the OL Reign versus Gotham game.
I'm hoping me and Laurie still get the call up. We might be on the plane.
A pretty good bang for his buck if he goes to that game, as you mentioned, just the quantity and the quality of players in between those two sides. So, hey, you never know. We might see him there. All right, Lianne, is there a player that he should be watching, a game that you think he's going to be at?
Yeah, I mean, I think Laurie's one makes complete sense because there's so many national team players that are on that team. But I think for me, Portland Thorns versus the Chicago Red Stars. And the reason why I choose this one is not necessarily because of Sophia Smith and Crystal Dunn and Lianne and Casey Kruger. It's because of Sam Coffey. I think Sam Coffey should be on the plane. I really do. I'm a big fan of hers. I liked her last season. But I think seeing her live in that first game of the season, Laurie, that we did live on CBS, it was just, honestly, she's so, like, a soccer IQ is so good. She's always in the right place. And I think I didn't realize how good she was until I watched her live. And I think we have a true understanding for her positioning. So I really want her to be on that plane. And I think Vlatko should be going to this one.
Yeah. We've been saying that for a while, so we completely agree that she simplifies the game. She has some different characteristics, and I think that you see anybody else in that position. So, yeah, I agree. And if you're going to OL Reign, then it's depending. Can't remember the time of the game, but you can, a little quick trek down to Portland or a little quick trek up to Seattle. So, best bang for your buck right there.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's what it's all about. A little BOGO deal, a buy one, get one, if you will, for Vlatko Andonovski. But we got to see who's going on the plane. Only 23 spots. And if Laurie's fighting for a spot, Lianne's fighting for a spot. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Never mind, everybody. Actually, we're taking those spots.
You're taking the spots. Plenty of matches to watch across the weekend. It all starts Saturday at 7:00. North Carolina hosting Angel City. 4 games on Saturday for the slate. And then it closes out in the Pacific Northwest, Portland against Chicago, and then OL Reign hosting Gotham. Lori, Lianne, thank you so much.